To the mid part of the season, I have to say I am quietly happy with the way we've gone. I believe that when it's considered that we had a very young list to start the season with, and that in some areas we were perceived not to have great strengths, I believe that the development the side has shown and the competitiveness the side's shown has been a real positive from the season. I can't say I'm totally satisfied with the win-loss ratio to date, and it is something that I think and I hope and I believe that we can improve in the second half of the year. But I must say that I am very happy with the direction that we're going in. I'm extremely happy with the development that some of our younger players have made, and I'm very convinced that Hawthorn Football Club is heading in the right direction for the future. Coming into the season, I would have thought that I believe that we could make the 8, and as a group, as a match committee and as a group of players, we discussed the fact that we believe we could play off in the finals this year. I don't think that that's out of the question yet, and I'm not prepared to concede it until it's mathematically impossible that we can get there. But I'd have to say that I would like to have won a few more games than we have to this current stage. But I believe with the improvement we're showing and the consistency we're showing now with our efforts and our endeavours and our competitiveness, I think we can win more than our share of games in the second part of this season and threaten a position in the 8. Nathan Chapman, one of the players involved in the deal with Brisbane for Brad Scott. Nathan's played at both ends of the ground for us this year, more predominantly as a backman, but he has also shown some very good form for us when moved forward in some games. Nathan, I'm sure we can expect bigger and better things from him as the year goes on. Daniel Harford, unfortunately Daniel had a late start to the season. Harf, as we all know, is a very gifted player and a player who is very important to Hawthorn Football Club. He is now starting to return to somewhere near his best form, and when he's in that type of form, he's certainly going to trouble opposition sides. Brendan Crummell, unfortunately Brendan's missed a few games with injury this year. Brendan's versatility is one of his great assets. He has displayed some good form forward in the forward line for us. Takes a lot of pressure off Nick Holland when he's playing well forward, but he again has had to be pushed back on occasions and doing jobs for us back there. Mark Graham, unfortunately Mark also has suffered some injury this year, along with a number of other of our important players, but Mark, who has returned to the side in recent weeks, is really now starting to show that the type of form that we expect from him. His versatility again, like Crummell, is an important asset to our side. Shane Crawford. Shane has had a terrific year for us this year. He's really taken another step as a player. He's taken on the responsibility of one of the vice captains of the team, and his form so far has been excellent. He's played on some of the real big names in the competition and beaten them, which is a great indication of the character of the player we've got in Shane Crawford. Daniel Chick. Daniel's made good development again this year as a player. He's shown an ability this year to play as a backman as well as a forward. He probably found a niche for himself as a forward. When cast into a role in the back line in recent times, he's taken up the challenge very well, and he's taken another step forward as a footballer for Hawthorn Football Club. Tony Woods. Tony's again been one of our most consistent players. Since he's been at Hawthorn Football Club in the last 4 or 5 years, he's been a notoriously high finisher in our best and fairest. I would think this year would be no exception. He's continued on where he's left off in recent years, playing on big name players and showing a great ability to be able to negate their influence on a game. Nathan Turvey. Nathan has tasted a bit of senior football this year, playing 3 or 4 games. Nathan's an exciting player with his leg speed and also his kicking skills. Nathan's just got to find a little bit more consistency at senior level yet to really cement a spot in the side, but he's shown enough to indicate to us this year that he has a very good future at the football club. Chris Hobbs was our second pick in the 1997 November draft. He has shown good development this year. He's still growing. He's a good sized fellow. He's about 6'1.5" or 2" in the old terms. plays as a very well-balanced and skilled half-back flanker midfielder, and he's showing good development at reserves level. He's been close to senior selection on a number of occasions. Richard Taylor has been one of our really good players for us this year. Richard's form has been excellent. I would think he would be well up in our best and fairest this year, and it's a reflection of the hard work he's done when you consider that Richard has come back from 2 knee reconstructions just a few years ago. His efforts this year for us have really been something special. Ben Dixon. Ben's really developed well for us as a player this year. He's really now taking a more senior role on the side. His support beside Jason Dunstall has been very good. His marking has really developed as well, and he's a very hard at the ball type character. Aaron Lord has continued on where he left off from last year. Aaron was a runner-up in our best and fairest in 1997, and his 1998 form has been of similar status. He really is an important player because of his tremendous work ethic. He has an ability to play across half forward or through the midfield for us, and his ball-winning capabilities are an extremely important asset to our team. Phil Smith. Phil has yet to play senior football for us this year, but he's probably not far away. He was a good performer in our reserves finals last year, and he had a minor hiccup in the pre-season, which with a stress fracture in his foot, which probably delayed his progress a little bit this year. Nathan Thompson. Nathan has been a credit to himself. Nathan worked very hard over the pre-season to get himself into a good physical shape. He lost a considerable amount of weight, and he's worked very, very hard. He's been rewarded with a couple of games at senior level to this point in the year. Brad Lloyd has had an unfortunate year this year after showing some very good form early in the year at senior level. He suffered a broken bone in his ankle, which has taken longer to repair than we would like, and that's been a real dampener for the club because he has shown some excellent form in the early games he played at senior level. We expect Brad will be back and playing senior football in the near future. Paul Salmon. Paul, unfortunately, has suffered from a few injury problems this year, not missing games, but actually playing under some duress. His playing form in recent weeks has been on the improve, probably because his body is actually in a slightly better shape than it was earlier in the year. But it's a credit to him that he's managed to play the majority of the games under some duress and still be a valuable contributor to the team. Randall Bone. Randall's hasn't had many opportunities at senior level this year. He's had some small injury problems that have affected his fitness and form. And Randall is a player who's really at the stage in his career at this football club where he needs to get his body right and give himself a chance to play senior football. Hayden Kilmartin was one of our players drafted in the March draft. He's had some exposure at senior level so far this year. He's proven to be a busy player in those games, of small stature but fairly hard and competitive at the ball. He's shown that he can be a handy player for Hawthorn Football Club. Whilst he hasn't played on a regular basis at senior level this year, he's shown enough in his opportunities there to make us believe that he's got a future at Hawthorn Football Club. Darren Kepler. Darren's probably playing his best football since 1996 with Hawthorn Football Club. He's didn't have a good year last year with injury problems, but he's now got himself injury-free, and his long kicking and ability to use the ball are certainly great assets to us. He's still shown that he's got his good leg speed that we've all come to know. Nick Holland, I think it would be fair to say that the Dutchie hasn't played to the same standards we've expected from him this year, but I see some distinct improvement in his form of latter stages. Nick perhaps has suffered a little bit because of the fact that Jason's had such a great year at full forward, and he's perhaps been bypassed a lot more often to date than he perhaps has in the past 2 years, and in particular last year when Jason didn't play. Craig Treleaven. Craig broke his hand earlier in the year and that set him back a little bit. He's now starting to find his spot back in the side. He's a very important player to us from the point of view that he uses the ball well and he does set play up very well for us. And we'll welcome him back in the side in the form that he's starting to display now because of that great ability to win the ball and use it so well. Trent Crode. Trent was our #1 draft pick in November. He's an exciting young fellow, Trent. He's just turned 18 years of age. He's had a fair degree of exposure at senior level so far this year, and he's displayed in those games some exciting qualities. Justin Crawford. Justin has played the majority of the year at senior level. He's shown good progress again and good improvement, and although unfairly compared with his brother Shane at times, Justin has different attributes and a different playing style to Shane. Justin is about to take a step up, I believe, at this football club and take on a more senior type role. We're looking to move him into a more midfield type role and give him a bit more exposure. Luke McCabe has been one of our real improvers this year. Luke, who's been a borderline player for the last couple of years at the club, has played every game at senior level, done some very good negating jobs on important players for the opposition sides, but also shown a very good attacking side to his game. And Luke is really filling an important void for us in the back line this year. Jason Dunstall, what more can you say about Jason? He's been fantastic this year, so much so that I believe he should play again next year. I know it's a bone of contention with him at the moment as to whether he will continue on or not, but certainly in the current form he's been in, I can see no reason why he shouldn't. I mean, his efforts to date, under duress with injury, have been fantastic, and he continues to lead the club in the manner in which he's led the club for a long time. Stephen Lawrence. Stephen started the year in the senior team, lost a bit of form, went back to reserves level, and suffered a fracture of the cheekbone, which set him back for 4 or 5 weeks. Stephen has just returned in the last week or two to reserves football, and we're expecting him to be putting his hand up in the very near future to play senior football for us again this year. Jonathan Hay. Jonathan's been one of our real improvers this year. He's played far beyond our expectations to date, and that's not to say that we shouldn't be expecting some very big things from him in the future, but Jonathan's really found a niche for himself in the back line this year, and as an 18-year-old we expect him to be one of the real stars of Hawthorn Football Club in the future. Kane Fraser. Kane's had a taste of senior football again this year. Probably hasn't quite settled into a permanent position in the senior team to date, but he's had a couple of opportunities there, and he's showing some encouraging signs to us. Jade Rawlings. Jade's had a fair taste of senior football again this year. He's a player who, coming into this season, he understood and realised that it was important that he play a fair percentage of senior football this year, and he's now starting to do that. He's settled in the back line more often than not, but we expect with his size and versatility that he can play both as a forward and back for us in the future. Angelo Lekis is one of our real surprise packets for the year. Not a surprise packet so much in that he doesn't have the ability, but he's really taken an enormous step this year in his football development. Angelo's shown an ability to play on some of the league's leading players. Rayden Tallis has found his niche again at senior level. He's probably been a little in and out in recent years, but he's found a niche for himself in the midfield again this year at senior level, and he's proving to be a very important player for us. Very hard at the ball type player, Rayden. Always gets in and under and gets in the thick of the action, and really does set play up well for us because of his endeavours in winning the ball. John Robran. John's developed again this year, I think, as a player, and he's another player who's taken a step forward. He's playing in the key back positions for us, and often he's in a situation where he has to take on more highly credentialed players, but he does the job with a minimum of fuss. John Barker was the other player involved in the Brad Scott deal to Brisbane. John has probably found it difficult this year to find a niche for himself in the side. He is a very athletic player. He has good endurance and has shown an ability to play at both ends of the ground and across the centre line for us. John Hassel has played the majority of the year at senior level for us to date. He hasn't probably quite found his niche for himself yet. He's been used often in roles off the bench, but has proved to be a very valuable player for us when coming off the bench in that role, where his leg speed and his running ability have been used to curtail a very good player for the opposition or to break the game up with his quickness.